Right, so insight number one, he thinks that the potential of the current large language models that we have today is significantly more limited than the proprietors of this technology will want you to believe, right? And the way that he framed this was that, look, these AI models, they're basically, finite algorithms trained on a finite set of data from the internet. And when you interact with them, it feels very impressive, right? It feels like we're on the verge or on the precipice of this kind of intelligence explosion. But based on the way that these things are created, right, we're going to run into basically limitations in the usefulness of the technology pretty quickly. Now, he was quick to point out that that doesn't mean that there aren't interesting applications using the technology today. But what he did point out is that these kind of more far-fetched visions of agents replacing all human labor and this kind of concept of an intelligence explosion are probably overblown. And the limitations exist kind of in the way that these models are created and the limitations that that infrastructure inherently has to it. Now, right, this view flows on pretty nicely from, I guess, a bit of the narrative shift that we've seen over the last few weeks since the launch of GPT-5, right? So prior to the launch of GPT-5, if you'd asked anyone, right, it's like, this AI 2027 plan is probably likely to come true, or if not, there's a decent probability of coming true, right? This concept of this intelligence explosion and the fact that humans are going to be fairly non-competitive in the workforce, right? That was a view that was held pretty strongly by a lot of people prior to the launch of GPT-5, right? Then we get GPT-5 launch and we kind of get this like very incremental improvement in the technology as opposed to this big leap or jump forward that most people were expecting. And I think that what that's done is it's kind of cooled people's expectations around the capability of this technology and how it's going to be applied, how it's going to impact people and their day-to-day lives. Right? So Mark is kind of sees his role at the moment in a lot of these conversations with customers is kind of like tempering down expectations and saying, look, the technology is good, it's useful, but it's not quite as capable as maybe some of the promises that you've heard from other sources, right? He sees his role as kind of like being the sober person in the room and going, look, yeah, there's cool stuff we can do with it. The stuff that, most people are talking about is probably not going to be achievable with the technology, right? So that was kind of insight one, right? Is like a bit of sobriety or a bit of rationality to the narrative around GenAI and the usefulness of the technology and potentially some of the limitations that exist with it.